Welcome back everyone. This is still going to be website development, AAQ IT Unit 3. Now I'm looking at P3 and M3, and this is going to be the wireframe that we need to design or create. This is going to be assignment B or task B, and this is mainly going to be the design stage. Yes, a part of task A was design as well, but this is where you plan exactly how your website will look. You must create these designs before you start building the actual website. So before you start using Dreamweaver or Wix or WordPress or whatever it is you're choosing to use, this will help you ensure the final product meets the needs of your scenario. And again, everything that you're going to do from this point on is going to be linked back to your scenario. This criteria has three things, but I'm going to only speak about the first two for now. We have P3, we have M3, and we have D2. So P3 needs us to produce adequate wireframes and visual designs for a specific purpose. M3, we need to produce mostly effective wireframes and visual designs for a specific purpose. Now D2 is a bit tricky because D2 is going to be a combination of P3, M3, P4, and M4. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to leave D2 until we've completed everything else. So again, D2 is going to be done after I do P3 and M3, after I do P4 and M4. That's when I'll do D2. So I'll do D2 in the next set of theory videos. So what is a wireframe? That's going to be the main thing we're doing in P3 and M3. So a wireframe is a simple drawing that shows the layout of a web page. It acts like a skeleton showing where text, images, and buttons will go. So you need to produce one wireframe for every single page in your project. So this is why you don't need to make that many pages. I think I said I'm going to make like 4 or 5, but I'm not going to make every single page using a wireframe. What I'm going to do is show you the process of making a wireframe of maybe 1 or 2 pages that are significantly different from each other. Then you guys can go ahead and use the skills you learned from making those 2 first pages to make the other pages that you will have in your website. From memory, I think the scenarios I looked at had about 3 or 4 pages, so it's not that many pages. But for me, I'm going to be doing a mobile design and a desktop design as well. I might skip the tablet one because that's very similar to a desktop one. So to get a pass, your wireframes must show a clear plan for a specific purpose. And again, this links back to your scenario. So every single thing you do at this point is going to be linking back to your scenario. You can draw your wireframes by hand or use digital design software. Your layout should be logical so users can find information easily. Digital design software, you could just use PowerPoint. And again, I know I didn't use PowerPoint fully in my last video, but PowerPoint is a perfectly good example of something that you can use. You can use Canva. You can use, I know Figma. I've never used Figma before, but I know Figma is a thing that you can use. Photoshop, you can use Draw.io. You can use any diagramming program you want. Once you have the general idea there, then you're good to go. So some of the skills or things that you need to do in a wireframe are using a hierarchy. This is to make sure the most important items stand out. So typically speaking, you want the most important things to be at the top. It helps busy people find what they need in just a few seconds, so they don't have to scroll to the very bottom of the page or scroll to the middle of the page to find what they want. It's at the very top. Most people want the important stuff that they are interested in at the top of the page. Another good thing you should do is grouping. This keeps related items together, like putting all your social media links in one area so they're easy to find. For example, on my website, I put all my social media links at the very bottom of the page so that if someone needs to go find the social media links, it's always going to be at the bottom of every single page. Nice and easy to find. Another one is alignment. Line up your images and text boxes neatly so that the website looks professional and tidy. You don't want things all over the place unless that's the look you're trying to go for. So again, everything links back to your scenario. A charity website is probably going to need to look nice, clean, simple, professional versus a gaming website that might have things all over the place. However, look at your scenario. You also need to spread your content out evenly across the page so it doesn't look cluttered on one side and empty on the other side. So you don't want everything on the left and nothing on the right and vice versa. A visual mockup. You must also create a visual representation for each page. This is essentially what the wireframe is. This is a realistic picture of how the final page will look. It shows your layout combined with your real images and colors. And this is why assignment B or part B is normally coupled together. But what I'm going to do first is do a basic wireframe. And then after that, once I'm doing P4 and M4, then I'll use the more detailed images. Still on visual mockups, these mockups help the client see if they like the ideas. Now you can get reviews from people, which is something I might actually put in here as well. They let you check if your colors and fonts look good together. A good design makes the site more fun for 16 to 24-year-olds or 16 to 30-year-olds, whatever your scenario says. And again, link everything you do back to your scenario. So for example, if I'm doing a gaming website, it's most likely going to be people between the ages of like 16 and let's say 30 to 40. If I'm doing a charity website, it's probably going to be adults, so ages from like 25 to, 50 or 60. The mockups you use must match the feel of your scenario. So every single thing you do must link back to your scenario. And for a merit, your designs must be effective for the client. You must pick a specific set of colors, normally a color palette. You need to choose clear fonts that are easy to read. Quite simply, have a theme. So whatever scenario you've chosen, if they giving you colors and a logo that you might have to make as well. Choose a theme. For example, my Rons Tech Hub logo is, I think it's turquoise or light blue, something similar to what is on screen here on the right hand side. And it's white as well, which means that for me, I'm going to choose something similar for the general aesthetic of my website. Next, we're on to sizing. Sizing is quite important because if you're designing something for both mobile, desktop, and even tablet in some cases, then you have to know roughly what the resizing is going to be. Even if you don't get this perfectly down, the fact that you planned for it and you try to do it is normally good enough to get you a merit, to get you your M3. Consider if your scenario is a desktop only website or a responsive website. So these are the typical widths for like high quality web pages on the internet for both for desktop, tablet, and mobile. Desktop is 1920, tablet is 1024, and mobile is 430, and all of these are in pixels. So we don't do it by centimeters or inches, we do it by the individual dots that make up a screen, so the pixels. Next, we have the brand. Branding is quite important. Your design must include branding like custom logo. The style should match the style for the scenario. And again, a logo can be anything. You can make a logo in literally 2 minutes. You're not using AI, but just using any imaging program by just using the text. So for example, my logo is just Rons Tech Hub, and that's it. There's nothing else. I could add a nice fancy image to it to make it look more techie, but nice simple text is really good sometimes. Keeping the same style on all these pages makes the site look high quality. And you also must review your designs. You wouldn't just do your assignment without proofreading, would you? So this is the same thing. Review what you've done. Is it fit for purpose? Does it look good? Or do all the features work? You must check if your designs actually do what the client asked for. So again, linking back to your scenario, every single thing goes back to a scenario. You need to know if it is fit for purpose. That's the term that's normally used. If it is not fit for purpose, then the people who you made it for, they don't want to use it for the purpose that you think you've made it for. You can review it, or you can ask others to review it as well. Personally, I would do both. What I would do is ask people to review your website, and this is now done really, really easily. You could do like a Microsoft Forms thing where you ask them certain questions about certain aspects of the website, and then ask them to rate it and give you comments. So if something is broken on, for example, the homepage, they can go to the homepage, they can review the homepage and give you comments. So you can then go back and say, oh, that actually makes sense. Let me go ahead and fix this. So this is what I am personally going to do. I'm going to use a Microsoft form or a Google form, some type of forms thing. They all do more or less the same thing. Feed that out to people. Obviously, I'm not going to feed it to anyone because it's only me, but you should feed it to like your classmates, have them look at the website, have your teacher look at the website, and have your classmates do like a review of the website to see if they think it's fit for the purpose. If they don't think it's fit for purpose, that's perfectly okay. They can say that, and you can go back in and make changes as and when you need to. The before and after. So after you've done your reviews and got your reviews from people, ask them to give you feedback, you need to show before and after. So for example, let's go back to the homepage again. If there was a mistake on the homepage, if the colors were wrong, if the text was wrong, if the image wasn't loading properly, if the video didn't load properly, if a link didn't work, whatever it is, show the before and show the after. So you're gonna need to learn how to just make copies of your work. So for example, what I might do is save everything in a folder, call it version 1. And then every single day I work on it, I just create another folder, copy everything across, call it version 2. You guys working in schools in the UK, you're gonna have access to, normally have access to Microsoft OneDrive, or you're gonna have access to Google Drive. And if you're using a school account, they normally give you a lot of storage. It's normally about 100 gigabytes or 1000 gigabytes. So what you can do is back up your folder every single time you do like maybe 2 hours of worth of work, back it up to your OneDrive folder and call it version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4. So you can always go back and check. And if you make a mistake somewhere, you can always go back and see what the mistake was. But the before and after thing needs to be whatever the mistake was, whatever was found by people doing the review, whatever you found by doing the review, show what it was before, explain what the error or the problem was, and showed after you fixed it. In some cases, you might even want to go into detail and say, I fixed this by doing X thing. Anyways, thank you for watching. Hopefully that was useful to someone. If you have any questions on this assignment or just any questions in general, just leave a comment and I'll be sure to reply to you as soon as I can. Any questions you have on the assignment, just drop it in the comment section. Blessed love and respect.